Welcome to The Food Whisperer, the podcast that helps you retrain your brain for healthy eating and exercise. Let's get started. So, welcome to this week's podcast. As mentioned, I'm Kate Pearce, founder of Nutrition Queensland and Healthy Little Eaters, because everyone deserves to be healthy. I've decided to set a realistic goal, which is not actually what this topic's going to be on, and do a podcast once a fortnight. I didn't want to set it once a week because I didn't feel at this point in time I could definitely stick to that. And something that I'm really hot on at the moment is honoring what we're going to say to ourselves, because it builds so much trust and self-confidence when you say that you're going to do something, that you actually do it. So I didn't want to make a commitment to once a week and not be able to fulfill it. So that is why I chose once a fortnight. But that is a whole other topic for a whole other podcast. But that's a tiny little tip at the start is set your goals really realistic, achievable, and make sure you actually stick to them, because as I said, you'll build so much more confidence in yourself. So the topic of this fortnight's podcast is actually about the importance of healthy habits during tough times, which we all have. Some have tougher times than others, but at some point we all kind of get knocked a bit down, and it can be sometimes hard to get yourself back up. But that's where healthy habits play such an important role, and it's what this whole topic is going to be about. And we're also going to talk about what are 6 healthy habits that you can sort of implement and start to cultivate into your week, day, into your life that will help you when you have a tough time, because you'll be able to lean on them. And healthy habits are so important to lean on during tough times. They're what can sort of help us get back up really quickly instead of being knocked down for a long time. So I thought I would start with just saying, I was on a coaching call not that long ago, and my client had just signed up to a package, which was amazing. And we had our first session together, which was awesome. And then a week later, we had our next session. And she said, "Oh my gosh, Kate, it's the worst timing. My car is broken down. It's not insured. Everything's falling apart. I can't get to the shops. I'm super stressed. Everything's chaotic. I feel really unorganized. And I've been even more off track with my eating habits and patterns because of the stress, and I'm reaching for more sugary food. It's just the absolute worst timing, and I wish that we could have started this after this had happened, because I feel like it's a waste, and I'm wasting your time and my time and money and everything like that." And I completely understood where she was coming from, because we've all had those times, right, where we're just like, bad timing, I wish it was different. But in that moment, I reminded her that this was actually the most perfect time for this to happen, because it's really easy to stay on track and stick to our goals when things are running smoothly, right? When things are smooth and life is great and life is dandy, it's easy to get up, it's easy to make the healthy food and go exercising. But when things get rocky or the road gets a little bit bumpy, that's when things are hard, and that's where we have to dig deeper. So that's when I reminded her, no, this is the perfect timing for this to happen. Because if everything was going smoothly and we finished the program and everything was sweet, and then something happened, she wouldn't have had the tools to be able to dig herself out and move on as quickly as she did. And she did absolutely amazing. After our chats and the tools that we implemented, she just got right back on track, and it was phenomenal to see. So leading on from that, it's really important that during tough times, or when we get knocked down, to not fall into, I guess, almost victim mode. If before something happened, we said we were going to stick to it, sticking through it through tough times is incredible, and it's so amazing for your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and your self-belief, and your trust in yourself, which is so important when almost changing your identity. And that's almost what we want to do when we want to become almost a new person, not live in the past, make new choices in life, and not live a different life, but live a life that creates really fulfillment and happiness for you. So one of the top tips I give is to stay organized. So that's where your meal prep comes into it. And if you've established rock solid habits in your life anyway, it's going to be a little bit easier. But these are the times when it's important not to say, "Oh, things have gone down the toilet. It's too hard. I don't want to do it. And we almost give ourselves excuses as to why we don't have to do it. We put it off and we never actually get to doing it. So staying organized and staying on top of your thoughts during tough times is so, so important. So again, it only takes 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do the things you say you were going to do. And in those tough times, just stop and breathe. So that's almost number 2. So number 1 is just honoring what you said you were going to do and just sticking to it regardless of the tough time. And I completely understand times can get super tough and sometimes you can't be at home or different things like that. And I'm talking about it can either be your favorite Netflix show being cancelled, or a divorce or a breakup or an illness or something like that. But they're the times we really, really even more so have to dig deep. So as I said, staying organized is super, super important. If you know that something's happened and in a week's time you look ahead in your diary, I love to do that. I love to look a few weeks ahead into my diary to see what's going on so that I can almost plan and prepare for it 2 weeks behind, or at least even a week behind. And I know sometimes that's impossible because things just happen, of course. But yeah, as I said, being prepared, having your grocery list up to date, having your veggies even just washed in the fridge ready to go, and just sticking to it. And that leads on, that I briefly mentioned, was just stopping and breathing. So in stressful times, it's so easy. Again, that little voice comes in and it says, you've had a really hard day. This is horrible. I know we said it could be drinking. I'm not going to drink for 2 weeks. But then something really stressful happens at the office or family life or something like that. And you're like, stuff it. I'm just going to have a drink. But they're the moments that are going to shape or break, really, your identity and who you're trying to become. So just stopping and breathing before you take that action is so powerful. And then you can just simply remind yourself of what your goals are, what your plan is, why you set this into motion in the first place. And that, even if it's 2 minutes, that 2 minutes is so powerful. It can be the difference between binging on a whole block of chocolate or choosing not to do that, or even choosing to have, a row because you're aware of what's going on in your mind. And it's almost like we have to take control of that little voice. That's the food whisperer again. That's why I'm called that, because we have to listen to that inner voice. So stopping, breathing, and taking control is really important during tough times. And then we have the power of just focus on the basics. So obviously I'm talking about nutrition, healthy habits and things like that. So if things are chaotic and you're like, oh my gosh, let's say I haven't meal prepped, I haven't got everything that I need, or you think, I don't know what to have for dinner, but it's so important in that moment just not to throw it all out the window. So you can simply remember the Carefree 3, and that's what I teach predominantly, because it makes life so much simpler and easy, and it allows you to stay on track. So the Carefree 3, what I call, is number 1 is fiber. And I'm not talking about the fiber that you get from breads and pasta that they say. I'm talking about the fiber that you get from salad, leafy greens, and non-starchy vegetables. So like cauliflower, broccoli, beans, carrots, things like that. And then I have protein, which predominantly I choose animal-based protein. Obviously you can do tofu and lentils and things like that, but it's a whole other story. And then you have healthy fats. Healthy fats are crucial, especially as we get older, for our brain feeling our best, and funnily enough, weight loss. And healthy fats are just things like avocado, olive oil, nuts, things like that. So let's say you're in an absolute panic and you don't know what to eat or what to choose because life has kicked you to the curb. Then you think, okay, fiber, even grabbing a carrot, perfect, done. That's some fiber. Then you think protein, okay, well, I'm not meal prepped, I don't have any chicken or steak or anything, so do I have a tin of tuna in the fridge? Yep, I do. Okay, awesome. Or a tin of salmon? That's beautiful. And then you can say, okay, healthy fats. Well, I don't even have an avocado, but I do have some nuts. I can put a bit of olive oil over my tuna. So I do recommend getting the tuna in spring water, because, this is off the topic, but because it'll say olive oil, but it's just an olive oil blend. And it's got a tiny bit of olive oil, and the rest is like vegetable oil or sunflower oil or something like that. So you can think, okay, I've got my carrot, I've got some, for my fiber, I've got some tuna for my protein, and I need some fat. Okay, I'm going to put a bit of olive oil or some nuts on the top, and boom, done. That could be the same as you've got some hard-boiled eggs ready to go, and boom, that's your sort of your healthy fat and protein. So they're kind of like the key things to have in the fridge that you can just grab no matter what, no matter if you're on the run, if you've got nothing else in the house, you're tight even on budgeting for the week, they're perfect things ready to go. So number 3 was focus on the basics. Then we have number 4, which is actually drown out the noise, like put your headphones on and just go for what you are trying to achieve, especially in stressful times. If you'd set yourself a goal or something and stress is coming up, you can just put your blinders on or blinkers on. You know, the things that I always think, the things that horses wear when they're pulling a carriage, and you drown out your own inner critic, because it's a big one, that little voice that'll tell you it's not worth it, life's too hard at the moment, you can get back on track when things are better. We have to drown that out, and we also have to drown out the chatter of people around us. So they don't often do it intentionally, but they can say, oh, come on, you've had a stressful day, have a glass of wine, share this chocolate with me. So it's kind of like blinders on, let's go, headphones on, crack on. And that way you can just lift yourself back up out of it really, really quickly and not fall to other people's patterns or your own inner critic voice. And number 5 is we have exercise, which is powerful. And exercise is so important, and it's even more important through stressful times, because it's what's going to give us our serotonin boost. It's what's going to make us feel better. And when we feel strong in our body, we mentally feel strong and we can cope with a lot more. So even if you have to grab a friend and commit, say, so get support is what I'm saying. So you can say, I'm going through a bit of a stressful time. To make sure I do it, you want to meet at the corner of blah, 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 somewhere at this time, and stick to it, because it's so much easier to commit when you've committed to someone else to actually stick to your goals. But what's even better is to just get to a place where you just commit to your own goals. But having a friend in the beginning or something like that is absolutely powerful, because it will make you stick to it. So that is my 5 healthy habits and top tips to maintain while you're going through something hard or something tough. If you establish them really strong when times are good, you can lean and fall back on them when things get rough. You can, as I said, you can drown out the noise, put your blinders on, remember your habits, and just fit them in, and then you will rise out of it so much quicker. If you give in and you think, oh, it's all too hard, I've wrecked it, I'll start again when things get easier, it's just going to be much harder to dig yourself out. So that's my top tips. I'm going to leave this podcast there. I hope that helped you to navigate through some stressful times and how you can just stay on track with your healthy eating habits. And if you can really get those healthy eating habits and just healthy lifestyle habits in place and sort of almost rock solid, when you do go through something stressful or life just knocks you off the rails, you can lean on them. And it's even more so important to lean on them in those times of stress. So if you found this podcast useful, please feel free to share it to someone that you think may benefit from it. And we can let the healthy eating message spread and just get people feeling their very, very best. So have a great week ahead, guys, and see you on the next episode.